Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the No Business Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, MC Snooze, on the mic, and we got my man, Hype Man Vic, here today. Hype Man, how you doing?
Doing great. This is going to be a pretty modest group, so I am having a pretty modest pour of whiskey today. We got Old Granddad Bonded, 100 proof, great bottle, great price. Hard to beat it.
Sounds interesting. And as you can tell, I'm not much of a whiskey guy myself, but either way, I know another whiskey guy. His name is Daniel, and he is on the ones and twos in that producing box. Daniel, how you doing today?
What up? I'm doing great. Doing great.
Hell yeah. Rock
All
on.
right. Well, folks, as you know, we're continuing on our coverage of the Euro 2024. We are going to be going through Group E, and the Group E contains Belgium, Ukraine, Romania, and Slovakia. We're going to go through each team, talk a little bit about the history of the Euros, what they did the last time they were here, some form, some key players, betting odds, word on the street, why we're watching, and there's a lot to get into. So let's start with Belgium. And Belgium, they qualified for Euro 2024 by topping their group by just a point above Austria with the record of 6 wins, 0 losses, 2 draws. And the last time they were here, they topped their group, and that group included Finland, Russia, and Denmark, but they finished it with 9 points, so undefeated in group stage. They did beat Portugal in the round of 16, which is an upset. You would call it that, even though Portugal is one of the good teams, and so is Belgium. But they went to the next round, and they fell to Italy in the quarterfinals. Their best ever finish at the Euros, they actually got to a final and lost to what was then West Germany in 1980. So they're hoping to better that this time around and get that gold. So now let's take a look at some of the form, Vic.
Yeah, Belgium had a really strong 2023, finishing undefeated in their Euro qualifying matches. They did have a draw against Austria, the very first match in June 17th, and then finished out the summer and the beginning of the fall with a win against Estonia, a win against Azerbaijan, a really strong 5-0 win against Estonia, and another win against Austria. So really good there. Going into the later fall in the other match in October, they did have an abandoned match against Sweden, which was a draw 1-1. So they just basically ended that match, but ended the year strong against Serbia and Azerbaijan with a 5-0 win against Azerbaijan. And for 2024, where their friendly matches getting prepared for our Euros, they had a 0-0 draw and a 2-2 draw against England and the Republic of Ireland. Republic of Ireland was the 0-0 draw. England was a 2-2 draw. So really strong. They followed that up with a 2-0 win against Montenegro. And then they also had a 3-0 win against Luxembourg. So going really strong this summer and getting ready for these Euros and looking to be top of their group. So
Yeah, and Belgium, they're one of the squads that always has pretty deep attacking and just all around squad. So going into this tournament, some of the key players to look out for, we have probably my favorite player in the world right now, outside of Harry Kane probably and some other Spurs boys, is Kevin De Bruyne. He's a superstar midfielder for City. He's the best in the world at, you would call him a midfielder, but even what he does, he's such a playmaker is what you would really describe him as. World-class scoring and creating, must-watch TV. Kevin De Bruyne, every pass that he has out there is just so beautiful, fun to watch. Moving on to Jeremy Doku, the left winger, also for City, and he's got that game-changing pace, and he loves to be direct and dribble directly at some of the defenders, and most of the time he's making them look silly, so fun to watch as well. Then we also have Romelu Lukaku, the center forward for Roma, and he hasn't really hit the highs at club level like he was a couple of years back, but there's a reason why he has a fourth best odds in the tournament to win that golden boot, only behind Mbappe, Kane, and Ronaldo. So keep an eye out for him to be banging some in for the Belgians. The best young attacking person to watch is going to be Johan Bakayoko. He's 21. He's a right winger for PSV. Last season, he scored 14 goals and 14 assists across all competitions for PSV. And like most of the wingers of today, he's really fast and he's one direction in mind, and that's forward. He just loves to get right at defenders, go at them, and then pick a direction and play off of that. And 14 of 14, so 14 goals, 4 assists. That really shows you that he's balanced. He's not necessarily one over the other. And that's going to be great whenever you look at this Belgian squad and see all of the attacking threats they have. He's going to be a weapon on anywhere in the pitch. And so now we know what these players are to look out for. Let's take a look at some of the odds. Victor, what are these degenerates over here betting on?
Yeah, well, the sports book has Belgium suggesting they'll finish on the top of their group with a minus 250 betting odds there. Overall, for the Euros, they have the seventh best odds to win with the Netherlands at a plus 1600. So not bad. Not bad money to be spent there. And if you're into that kind of thing, please go ahead and do so. But maybe Adam might borrow a couple bucks from you to put some bets down if you don't mind.
Don't mind that. I would always put money on Belgium to at least get out of the group stage. They're a team that they always have a lot of hype. It seems like we want to get them out of the group, but they just haven't taken that step. And so word on the street for them coming into this tournament, there's a lot of optimism. And the expectations are, again, that they're going to top that group. When you look at it, there's only really Ukraine that looks like they can challenge them. Obviously, anything can happen, but Ukraine looks like the most likely to challenge them for that top spot in the group. But topping the group means that they should play a best third place team. And looking at the landscape of potential third place teams at the moment, outside of that group of death, whoever gets that third spot, it shouldn't be that tricky for them to really get into that quarterfinals. And if they get higher than that and play some of the higher echelon teams, they've struggled at that in the past, but word on the street says that they're at least going to get to the quarterfinals, and hopefully they do, because I do like me some Kevin De Bruyne. And that's actually why I'll be watching, because I'm a fanboy for this guy. At this point, their golden generation has gone by. A lot of their veteran players are past their prime, but they seem to always be touted as a dark horse, where they can't be really a dark horse now because, they're not the golden generation anymore like they were a couple years ago. So the reason I'm watching now is because they don't have the expectations on their shoulders anymore. So it's really cool to see how they do with less people, less spotlight on them, and just let them play the tournament, play the game, and see where they end up. But some reasons why everyone should be watching, again, Kevin De Bruyne. And I say his name a lot because he really is that damn good. Anytime you see this guy, like, you couldn't place a ball better if you walked and had the ball in your hand and handed it to the guy. I mean, he's insane, hitting passes at any different range. And then also he's really good at scoring as well, from inside the box, outside the box. The dude is amazing. He's so fun to watch. I know that you'll have fun watching him if you check him out. So tune in for some Belgium games, and let's go Belgium. Vic, I know you like to say some weird shit. So what's going on with this team, and what's going on with this country over there in Belgium?
Well, I tell you what, they know how to shine bright, and they're ready to shine bright, because their new completed highway you can actually see from the moon because it's so big, and they light up all of their highways. So really ready to do this. Also, yeah, it's crazy. Apparently all of their highways are apparently all of their highways are lit up too, which I think is pretty crazy, because there's some dark roads here. They're pretty terrible, but also, Belgians are not afraid to take a step back and regroup, because they also do have the highest divorce rate in Western Europe at 70%. So they don't mind just taking a step back and being humble about what's going on there.
So don't marry a Belgian woman, is what you're saying?
That I would say so, yeah. Or man, whatever you're into. I don't know who's
or
at
man.
fault,
Yeah,
so.
hey.
Yeah. And also, you're going to talk about communication. You can order a beer in Belgium just by holding your pinking finger up at the waiter. And they also say that you can get a beer even faster if you hold up your middle finger, but you won't have the glass with the beer. So that's why I'll be going for Belgium. Their communication is going to be off the charts, and they're going to be flying around that pitch and hopefully making some good plays for us.
Well, you all know that whenever I drink, I don't have a glass in front of me, but I drink with my pinky out, and it's just a habit. I don't know why. I have always done it, and they always make fun of me for it. But Yeah, maybe we need to go to Belgium so I can have endless rounds just by
Just
keeping that pinky up. That's pretty.
because
That's pretty
you're a
funny.
man of class, Adam.
Weird
That's the reason.
things. Yes, yes, man of class. That's what my wife tells me all the time. I hear it so much. It's crazy. Okay, well, let's keep this train moving right on into the Ukraine squad. Ukraine, they got into the Euro 2024 by finishing third in their qualifying group with 4 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws, but they advanced by beating Iceland in the playoffs. They finished how they did the last time they were here. Well, they finished third in their group, and that included Netherlands and Austria, but advanced to the round of 16 with that third place best of the third place teams. They went on to beat Sweden in the round of 16, but then they ended up losing to England 4-0 in the quarterfinals. And reaching the quarterfinals in the last Euro in 2020, it's actually the best finish they've ever had in the Euro. So they'll definitely be looking to better that. And looking at their form, seems like they're poised to do something big. Vic, tell us what they've been doing lately.
Yeah, they've actually looked pretty good in recent form. In 2023, they started off with a 3-3 tie against Germany, starting off strong, in my opinion. Germany's a really good powerhouse. So, following that, they beat North Macedonia 2-3, and then had another win against Malta. Did have some stiff competition going into the fall with England and Italy, and England handed them a 1-1 draw, and Italy gave them a 2-1 defeat. So, after that, they bounced back pretty strong with another 2-0 win against North Macedonia, and then also beat Malta. And I don't even know how to pronounce this, but it looks like Lichia Gdansk, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty close. I think I did pretty well.
Poland.
Poland, is that what they're called?
I don't know. It looks like the flag.
No, the flag looks like Poland. Yeah, you're right. But they did end the year with a 0-0 draw against Italy. Again, stiff competition because that was for Euro qualifying. So, they both put probably their best foot forward. So, as for 2024, they started off really strong with a 2-1 win and two 2-1 wins against Bosnia and Herzegovina and also Iceland. And Iceland was knocking off some people here pretty recently. So, after that, they did have a 0-0 draw with Germany. Still no loss against Germany, who's a powerhouse, and then also a 3-1 loss against Poland. So, hopefully, they're trying to turn that around and get a good step in the right direction when they face Moldova on the 11th. So hopefully they get a win and get into these Euros on a positive step and keep that running throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I think you're understating that Iceland win. Iceland seems to be a powerhouse of a nation right now, so that's pretty impressive. They can beat them 2-1. So let's move into some key players for this Ukrainian squad. Probably the most well-known player is Mudryk, Mikhailo Mudryk. He's the left winger for Chelsea. He's struggled a bit since moving to Chelsea, but he's been in good form, in good Euro form showing. And if he does show off at the Euros, that could change everything for him going forward because there were talks that that some of the fans in around Chelsea were really fed up with this guy. He was cost a lot of money to come over, and he's not really reaching that height of his what they bought him for. But yeah, this could be the way that he can show his quality going into that next season for Chelsea. And then we also have Alexander Zinchenko, the left back for Arsenal. It remains to be seen if he's going to stay in that left back role for Ukraine. He's been moved around the pitch. He might be in that midfield, but either way, he's the captain of Ukraine and he'll be vital for them moving forward. And then we also have Lunin, the Real Madrid goalkeeper, who broke through last season when Courtois got injured. Sad though, he did run that squad for a while, but then he was benched in the final when Courtois was healthy. So he's pretty pissed right now. And I would be too if I got him there and then didn't get to play in that final. So, he's going to be stopping everything that comes towards him just out of spite. And the best young talent to watch for is going to be Ilya Zabarny. He's a 21-year-old center back for Bournemouth. And I know I butchered his last name, but someone can correct me in the comments. And per soccer flick for this guy, he's been one of the best young defenders in Europe this past season. He's brilliant playing ball playing skills and exceptional defensive ability makes him a player to watch for this Ukrainian side this summer. And that's about it for the standouts to watch for. I know that there's a lot of hype around this team, so let's see what these odds say, Vic.
Well, the sports books have them second in their group behind Belgium to finish on top of their group at a plus 400. And overall, to win the Euros, they're right in the middle of the pack at a plus 10,000 with the 16th best odds there. So, not the best. We've definitely seen a lot worse, but, we'll see. They seem like a strong team going into the tournament, and we'll have to see how they play out, how this whole plays out.
That's the fun of it. That's the point of the tournament. So, word on the street, it's actually surprisingly very optimistic in getting out of the group. Not too strong of a group, but they're like they got some swagger going into this tournament. And the difference is, or the main thing is, once they get into knockout rounds, anything can happen. We all know that, but it doesn't feel like they're going to get too far past that. Just looking at the squad and the teams that they could be placing or they could be facing in that round of 16. But if they don't get out of the group, that's a disappointment. But money is on them getting out and getting into that knockout round, and then it's house money from there. So we shall see. Some reasons why I'll be watching. So digging into this squad, there's not a whole lot of a talent that's world renowned right now, but I think it is sneaky talented, and they've got a lot of depth in the different parts of the pitch that you want depth in. And so most of their team is made up of players that they are major contributors in the 5 top European leagues. They're just not big names. So obviously all of them coming together internationally is different than playing for their clubs, but really outside of the loss back in September to Italy, they haven't lost in a calendar year. So it's looking a little dark horse-ish, so I say. I don't know, maybe. But again, they're not as talented as a lot of the teams they'll be meeting outside of the group, and especially going into the quarterfinals if they were to beat whoever they play in the round of 16. But I'm going to be watching because of the unknowns. If they can put a run together, maybe we see them go far. And some reasons that y'all should be watching. Obviously, there's more serious and important matters going on in and with Ukraine right now. Soccer is definitely a distant thought when you consider the war that's going on. But a tournament like this tends to be a positive moment of distraction for a country in turmoil. And really, it's an escape for those Ukrainians in the reality that they're living in. And so whenever these players are putting on that Ukrainian kit, they are much more than just soccer players. They're heroes, and they're a way for this nation to have a great time and just really forget about everything that's going on for just a short period of time. So we'll all be rooting for them and watching this team going in. And Vic, why are you watching this team?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll be watching Ukraine because it turns out Ukraine is full of surprises. Did you know that they actually invented the tradition of decorating Easter eggs with wax and dye? Surprise. I never would have thought that.
That's weird. Like, okay, yeah. Sure.
We do that because of Ukraine. Not only that, they're not afraid to mix things up. Ukrainians actually wear their wedding rings on their right hand instead of the left. That's I'm thinking about that because I just got engaged. So, and also,
I don't even know. Foreign.
Yeah. Also, Ukrainians will definitely know how to read the other team because they are one of only 4 countries to ever have 100% literacy rate. So they're going to be out there reading defense, reading what the offense wants to do. If there's any penalties, they're going to read the penalty taker. It's going to be good, and they should surprise some people. So let's see how they do.
So according to you and whoever else, their homeless people in Ukraine can read. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, they asked every single Ukrainian.
Hey, can you read this? All right, cool. We'll move on.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, let's keep this train rolling. Let's move on to Romania. Romania got into the Euro 2024 competition by topping their qualifying group that included Switzerland with the record of 6 wins, 0 losses, and 4 draws. How did they do the last time I was here? Well, they missed Euro 2020, but back in 2016, they ended last in their group, but that group included France, Switzerland, and Albania. So tough group to get any points out of, really. And their best ever finish was in Euro 2000, where they got to the quarterfinals of the competition. And obviously going into this competition, we need to see how they've been competing. So Vic, tell us what it looks like in that foam table.
Yeah, their 2023 was actually undefeated. They started off with 3 draws against Kosovo, Switzerland, and Israel. Did get a win against Kosovo after that with a 2-0 win, but fell right back into the draw cycle with Belarus 0-0. Ended out the year with 3 wins, 4-0 to Andorra, 2-1 against Israel, and then 1-0 against Switzerland. So ended 2023 undefeated, and so far in 2024 undefeated. They had a 1-1 draw against Northern Ireland, lost to Colombia 3-2, and then finished out the summer with a little bit of a lackluster flame there with 2-0-0 draws against Bulgaria and Liechtenstein. So hopefully they'll turn around and try to surprise some people here in the Euros going forward.
Well, looking at their squad, it's going to be a tough go. Not a lot to write home about as far as well-known players on their team. The most well-known, even as a Spurs guy myself, I don't even know if he would be that well-known, but is Radu Dragusin. He's by far the best player on their team, and he's a center back for Tottenham Hotspur. He hasn't really been a regular starter yet, but he's shown a lot of quality when he does get on the pitch. But as we all know, Tottenham has one of the best pairings of center backs in the entire world. So getting into that squad is going to take a lot of time. And this guy's only 22 years old, so he's growing by the minute, by the year. And if this team's going to do something, he's going to be their leader and help them along the way. But that is about it for any of the players to talk about. And yeah, I'm imagining that because of that, the odds aren't great, but let's talk about those a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, the only thing they have going for them is that they're not Slovakia, so they're not projected to end last in this group. They are projected third, though, behind Belgium and Ukraine with a plus 650. Overall, to win the Euros, they're the fifth worst odds, at a plus 20,000. So, again, if you're Romanian, keep that money in your pocket. No reason to be out here during this time, but good luck to them. Thank you for coming.
Yes. Good luck to them, indeed. And word on the street is that if you look at their qualifying, everybody's noting that, yeah, they dominated. They dominated every single game in a group that included Switzerland. So it seems like more than enough to be coming in here on paper, right? On paper. But when you double click a bit after doing a lot of research into this team for this segment here and reading a few articles, I found that the teams that they beat in qualifying, we have Kosovo, Israel, Belarus. Those countries have really, I don't want to say bad, but they all have geopolitical issues going on right now. And so most of the games between those teams that Romania played were actually played either on neutral ground or in Romania. So unlike other groups in qualifying where you had to play home and away, they just stayed home the whole time. And so you can read more about it. There's an article in The Athletic that goes into more detail about what those geopolitical issues are and why they had such a home field advantage. But with that said, I think most people realize that their qualifying success just doesn't seem to have that it's not what it seems, and they just don't seem to have the talent to really move forward too far. I don't see them getting past Ukraine. And even if they happen to get that third place finish above Slovakia, I don't think that they're getting into the round of 16. But enough of the negativity. Let me tell you why I'm watching, and I think you could probably guess. It's for my boy Dragusin, the Dragon. I really want to see how he does. Like I was saying, he doesn't get a lot of minutes at Tottenham right now, but with a lot of coming from Bologna, he was touted as one of the best, and I didn't get to watch him a lot for that team. So really this tournament, I'll be able to sit down, watch matches, and see how he does as a leader of that team in this Euro 2024, and I'm really excited for it. And some reasons why y'all should be watching. Well, let's just say if you're not a big Tottenham guy or gal, then this one's pretty tough to find a reason because, I'm not going to default to no soccer reasons or non-soccer reasons just to give you something to talk about. I guess it's a beautiful country, so maybe that's a reason. Dracula, I think, is from there. Maybe that's a reason. But other than that, not too much to discuss there. So, Vic, You tell me why you're watching. Maybe I'll change my reasons.
Well, besides Dracula, I know Romanians know how to deal with big threats, and that's because Romania has the highest population of brown bears in Europe. They have about 60% of Europe's total, which is no fewer than 6,000 roaming the forests over there. So, forest and mountains. So, they can at least deal with big threats, and they have some big threats in this group coming up. Not only that, I think you will appreciate this one, Snooze. They invented the original American pastime game of baseball, and it was called Oina, something like that. Oina. I probably can't pronounce it.
That's a
Um,
lie. I'm already stopping you there.
it wasn't exactly
It's
the same. I'll give
American.
you that. Yeah, it wasn't exactly the same. I'll give you that, but I can assure you, it was just as boring. So don't worry about that.
Cut.
And also,
I'm done with this guy.
if you think other countries like coffee, Romania actually made the first automatic steam espresso coffee. So they took coffee, concentrated it, and that's in their genes to be absolutely flying around and probably have infinite energy out there. So if anything, it'll be fun to see them running around the pitch.
Hmm.
But they do have a tall task in front of them with these two other teams, Belgium and Ukraine.
Okay, well, I never want to hear you say that the Romanians made baseball ever again. So that's we're
Look it
done
up.
talking about
It's
that.
a fact.
Uh, let's move on to Slovakia and round out Group E. Slovakia made Euro 2024 by finishing second in their group behind Portugal with the record of 7 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. The last time they were in the Euros in 2020, they finished third in their group behind Sweden and Spain, but they didn't advance to the round of 16 as one of the top third place teams. Their best ever finish in the Euros was actually in 2016 when they did make the round of 16, but they lost to Germany 3-0. So it was very short lived happiness for them. And hopefully they get a little bit into form going into the tournament because they are heavy underdogs. We'll get more into those odds here in a second, but let's take a look at the form.
Yeah, and their form as of 2023 was either all or nothing. So they had either won or lost. They won twice against Iceland and Liechtenstein last summer. Went into the fall with a loss against Portugal. Portugal a tall task, but did bounce back with a 3-0 win against Liechtenstein, and then lost again to Portugal 3-2 shortly after. They did finish strong though with 3 straight wins, and for Euro qualifying matches against Luxembourg, Iceland, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. This year, though, it's been a bunch of everything. They had a 2-0 loss against Austria, and then a 1-1 draw against Norway, and then a 4-0 slapping of Dan Marino, as you will say, San Marino. And
Yes.
as of right now, let's see. I think Slovakia is winning 3-0 against Wales for their final friendly before going to these Euros. So looks like they're doing pretty strong there against Wales, and they want to probably continue that all the way into the Euros.
Yeah, if you look at the details of their form, they're essentially beating anybody that is close to bad, but not anybody that's close to good. If you get what I'm saying, because like Iceland, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, they're whooping them, but then they're losing to Portugal and Austria, Portugal twice actually. So yeah, hard to say. I mean, maybe their form's a little bit better than Romania's, but yeah, either way, I don't see them going too far. But let's talk about some of the players that you will see on the pitch for Slovakia in Euro 2024. The main man that you'll probably know is Milan Skriniar. I always had trouble saying his last name, Skriniar, but he's the center back that cut his teeth at Inter, and he's actually made the switch to PSG last summer, and he's the captain of the Slovakia side. Another player to watch out for, David Henko. He's a Slovakian center back that plays for Feyenoord, who's on a lot of wish lists for the big clubs in Europe right now. So he's doing something right over there. And they do have some young players, but there's really none that I could tell you that, a reason to watch these young players or someone that's exciting to go and watch this Slovakian team for. So we're just going to skip that part. And, we're not haters here. We're just giving you the data. We're just giving you what we find, and we didn't find a lot. So I'm imagining that is reflected in the odds. So let's take a look at those.
Yeah, it's not just us. The sports book also has them at the bottom of their group with a plus 1100 betting odds to finish top of it. So worst in the group, and then overall the joint worst with Albania and Georgia to win the 2024 Euros at a plus 50,000. That is pretty insane. So not a lot going for them. Keep your money in your pocket, Slovakians.
Yeah. Same thing with the word on the street for the Slovakians there. They, from what I've seen and what I've been reading from the media, they have great defenders, solid midfield, but they don't have Hamsik anymore, who is their main guy in the attack. And so who's going to score for them, right? Another team that's they're a nation just happy to be here. That's really all we can say about them as far as what the expectations are. And but a reason that I'll be watching them, that's that's a good question as well. That's what I can say. Why I'll be watching this team. Really excellent defensive teams like Slovakia, from what I've heard. They're usually not that fun to watch, as you can imagine. Any sport that's super defensive, um, but they do have some high flying wingers that love to get forward. And so if they're really good on the counterattack, then that could be fun to watch. But just watching a team pounding, 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 and then finally, Slovakia getting a break might not be the best watch on television, but who knows? Maybe there will be more reason. And again, just kind of like Romania, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I made up a reason for you to watch Slovakia. Yeah, maybe watch them when they play Belgium so you can see Kevin De Bruyne play. How about that? Okay. Vic, give me some good news here. What's going on with Slovakia? What can we look forward to from this nation and in Euro 2024?
Well, I'll say not a lot of reasons to watch them. Maybe a reason to visit Slovakia is they have 1,600 mineral springs. But that's about it. I didn't really find much. I'm sorry. There's not much about Slovakia. Angelina Jolie has some
Yes.
family from there. Paul Newman has some family. John Bon Jovi has a grandmother from there. That's it. I'm sorry, I don't have more for you. I'll drink for you guys because I failed. So
This
my bad.
excuse me, mineral springs aren't those the ones that smell like farts? Isn't
They
that
do smell
like
like that
the main thing you're
too.
all right. Well, yeah,
But it's
there you go.
unique, I guess.
Um, you know what? If they get, we'll make a pact right now. If Slovakia makes it to the round of 16, we're all going there one day. We'll take a trip to Slovakia. How about that? Pact.
I You know what? You got it. We'll do that. I like it.
All right, there you go. You heard it here. Keep us honest. Now let's go. That's all we have for the team. So let's go into predicting this group and seeing how we all have it shaking down. I have no surprise. Belgium up top, Ukraine second. I'm actually putting Slovakia above Romania this time around because looking at the form, like I was talking about earlier, it looks like Slovakia is coming in a little bit more poised, and they should be able to get some points from Romania, in my opinion. Sorry, Drago, but yeah, Vic, how do you have it shaking out?
The top two, obviously Belgium and Ukraine. But I do have Romania above Slovakia. I know they had a pretty poor form pretty recently, but it's also been friendlies. I'm just kind of hoping they're working some bugs out with their lineup or something like that. And I think they could beat Slovakia at least for the third spot in this group.
Okay. Well, with that said, let's take a look at a couple of the matches that could really decide the fate of this group. The first one is going to be a Ukraine versus Romania. And the reason why match day one is important is not so much for the match itself, but mainly for the implications going into match day three. So match day one, Ukraine plays Romania, and they'll need to get points from these games, hopefully maximum points, because if we think that Ukraine is going to challenge Belgium at all for this group, they have to get points from the other two that aren't Belgium, right? They need to make sure that they're whooping on Romania and Slovakia, because going into group match day three, which I really like how they do these, Ukraine and Belgium are playing in match day three. So the top two teams in that, they're duking it out for first place. So we need to see both of those matches will decide it. Ukraine versus Belgium is June 26th, and Romania, Ukraine is June 17th. All right. Well, that's about it for Group E. thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. And Vic, take us home.
Again, we want to know what you guys think down in the comments. So please like, comment, subscribe. We want to know: do you have more faith in Romania than I do? What do you think? Do you think they can take second? Can they steal some points from Ukraine? Just let us know. We want to interact with you guys in the comments. But other than that, we appreciate y'all for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time.
Peace.